Good afternoon, YouTubers. Welcome back into another edition of Astros Recap. David Artis once again here to break things down for you. Astros are completely terrible now. I remember last week talking about them being, well, what was their record last week? Like 6-5 or 5-4? Trying to think. 5-4 sounds about right. If I do my quick math, yeah, it sounds about right. 5-4, I believe, when I talked to you last Monday. It is Monday, again, a week later, August 10th, 5:09 p.m. So the Astros actually play here in right about 3 hours, as we're back home now. Terrible road trip, though. They actually, went into the Los Angeles, Anaheim, played the Angels, and actually took 2-3, which was big for them, I guess, early season. 60 games, but getting 2 of 3 usually when you win a series, especially out on the road, that's, you did your job. But and they go to Arizona and they, on Tuesday here, last Tuesday, and things look pretty good. I mean, the offense breaks out and Christian Javier has another great start. And on Tuesday, it looked good. Christian Javier obviously sort of filling in for Justin Verlander, or as well as he can. But 2 good starts. That was the second very good start. It looked like the week was getting off to a good start. And then from there on forward, they lose 5 straight. So my 4-2 sort of hopeful prediction for this last week, obviously the Astros did pretty bad, and I was way off. So, yes. There's a lot of issues with the team right now. I could go through the 5 losses, and I probably will at some point, but obviously there's no Verlander, there's no Osuna. You have 11 pitchers, 11 relievers, 10 are rookies. Only guy is Ryan Presley, who actually blew a save this week as well, which I'll get into in a little bit here, but just think about that for a second. You got 10 guys who have never pitched in the big leagues. This is their first time ever doing it. And you're one guy that, is supposed to sort of be your closer if you can get to him in time, or you're leading in the 9th inning, is still sort of dealing with a blister issue and still sort of not feeling, 100%. Hopefully that changes within the coming week. As he did come in and got a scoreless inning on Friday, Friday sounds right, which I'll talk about also in a few minutes. But, yeah, things are not good right now. Just trying to think. So, also, Yordan Alvarez isn't quite here yet. He's probably at least a week and a half to 2 weeks away. Urquidy's probably longer than that. Don't expect him till probably very close to September. Maybe even into September. Verlander is progressing at a very slow rate. Apparently, only update I've gotten on him. He was supposed to be reevaluated Sunday, because that was the 2 weeks they said that they were going to wait to reevaluate, and I haven't heard any significant updates on Verlander other than he's progressing slowly. I guess progressing's a good sign, but slow. I'm not going to speculate. I just don't expect to see Verlander, I would say, this year. That would be what I'd say. And then, let's see, and then you got people like, Peacock, who could help out in the bullpen, especially now. All the people we got. And Austin Pruitt, who's probably mostly a non-factor anyway. Josh James got demoted to the bullpen because he was terrible in his 2-3 starts, whatever it was. And Brandon Bielak is now inserted into the rotation, another rookie. He actually pitched pretty well. So, Bielak so far in his 2, 3, 4 outings, he's actually been pretty good. So, we'll wait and see with him. But, you got Javier as sort of your one, not your actual ace, just in order. But you have Javier. You'll have McCullers, who goes here in a few hours. I think Bielak is your third, Greinke your fourth, and then Framber Valdez is your fifth. And as much as it pains, well, it doesn't really pain me to say. I have nothing against Framber Valdez. It's just he's been a disappointment as an Astro. But he's pitched very well in his 3 outings this year. So I will give him major credit for what he's been able to do so far this year. He's been better than I could have imagined. So, but anyway, they lose 5 straight. So they go into Wednesday with McCullers out on the mound. And Wednesday starts exactly like Tuesday. They score 4 quick runs, and they're often running early, and feels like, McCullers, I think it was 9 up, 9 down, first 3 innings. Looked like we were going to sail to victory. And he just completely imploded in the 4th inning. And they opened up the roof. And, I guess that was an easy excuse for Lance. Because he completely just imploded in the 4th inning, and it was just, it was bad. He couldn't get an out. They scored 9 runs, so they were up 9-4 at that point. The Astros didn't really have a chance. They lost that game 14-7. So they did a 2-run home run. So they give up 4 in the bottom half of the 4th. In the 5th, they put up 2 runs to make it 9-6. But then they give all that back up and then some. And yeah, they lose 14-7. So, but yeah, McCullers just completely lost it. I mean, he, like I said, 9 up, 9 down, and then he faced like 9 hitters before he got pulled. Just he couldn't get an out. It was just that simple. I mean, they were hard hit balls, home runs, gappers down the line. They opened up the roof, and he became like a completely different person. So, anyway, I'm not going to be the person that blames the roof because it's a roof. Baseball is played outdoors. It's nice for players to get the air conditioning inside, I guess. But the whole roof thing, I read on Twitter that they were planning to open it up after 3 innings anyway. So, prepare for that, I guess. But, yeah, they got absolutely shellacked on Wednesday, 14-7. And then Thursday, got to pull up my phone to look at a few things here. But Thursday you have Belak, who actually pitched very well. He went 5 or 6 innings, didn't allow a single run. See if my phone decides to load today. But let's see if I can get here. I got to go to the calendar. Look for last Thursday's game, so I can give you some stats or a box score or whatever will pop up for me. They actually won on Monday 8-2, or Tuesday 8-2. Wednesday they lose 14-7. And then on Thursday, so Belak's strolling right along just fine. 5 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Did walk 3 hitters, only struck out 1. But what's going on here? Golly, this thing just doesn't want to work. Let's see. I'm not going to be able to even get into this right now. Anyway, the bullpen comes in and basically blows it. The Astros were only up a run. 2 runs. I know Altuve hit a home run to make it 2-0. But your 6th inning reliever, who was Cy Snead, who's actually been terrible. He had a few good outings to start the year. Since he's given up runs in, I think, like his last 4 or 5 outings. So he, as Dusty Baker was sort of using as sort of a setup guy, should be basically tossed from that position because he can't get out. He's just not good enough. Gave up 3 hits, or three runs, all of them earned. ERA up over 6, and that will be rising as I pull up this as the week goes on here. Andre Scrub, Blake Taylor comes in, and he goes an inning in the 3rd. 3 hits, no runs, walked a hitter, struck out a hitter. Andre Scrub, sort of in that Blake Taylor category. He's actually done a very good job. So Blake Taylor and Andre Scrub are sort of your bullpen heroes at this point. But Scrub also goes an inning in the 3rd. No runs, no hits. and strikes out a batter. No walks. So he was good. But the Astros were trailing this game 3-2 going into the 8th. And Bregman hits a key 2-run home run to put them on top 4-3. And then Osuna blows it, not only the save, but blows the game as he gives up. He didn't record an out. 3 hits, 2 runs, both earned, walked a hitter. But Presley, the one guy you hope you can rely on because he's your only bullpen pitcher who's not a rookie, blows it. And like I said, he didn't record an out. So he was pretty bad. I mean, he had that one outing in Anaheim on Saturday. We only recorded 2 outs. Gave up a run, I think. If I go back to that outing in Los Angeles here, as if this will pull up here. Anyway, he didn't get through the inning. He had sort of that blister issue. The trainers came out, looked at him. He stayed in the game as this thing looks like it's starting to pull up. But he didn't get through the inning. They took him out, and this was only his second outing. Sort of a high leverage, but, I mean, the dude didn't get an out. So, I mean, take that for what you will. But that just box score popped up. So he, went 2/3, 2 hits, a run, it was earned, walked a hitter, struck out a guy. So, but Presley did bounce back in this Oakland series, which I'll get to in a minute. But, yeah, so... So, yeah, blows the game there. The Astros lose 5-4. Arizona's not particularly a good team. I know I talked about them being a sort of interesting team when I sort of made my predictions. But they're not that good. They have a washed-up Madison Bumgarner. And the rest of the rotation, Robbie Ray's just sort of so-so. He hasn't been that great. Obviously, they lost Paul Goldschmidt before last year. I mean, they just don't have a lot. So I don't know who sort of influenced my decision to make them sort of an interesting team, but I don't think they're that good. The Astros just didn't play well. They scored, but they didn't pitch. And that sort of was supposed to be the issue this year. The pitching was just up in the air. It's a big question mark, and it sort of scares the bullpen. I mean, do I have to say it again? 10 rookies? Yeah, it's not a good situation. And you got Josh James, who didn't work out as a starter. You got Justin Verlander, who got hurt. Framber Valdez has been good. Zach Greinke's been good his last 2 starts. Lance McCullers, after his first good start, has been he's been terrible his last 2. So, what do you got? 2 guys? It's just... The question marks that surrounded the entire pitching staff has definitely come to fruition so far. So you lose 2 of 3. You go into Oakland Friday. And this series, they actually forget how to hit. So the pitching was there, but they can't hit. A team that averaged almost 6 runs a game going into the series scored a total of 5 runs in all 3 games. And they couldn't hit. And that's sort of what... Friday's game was actually a very entertaining game, I guess. It went 13 innings, tied at 1-1. Zach Greinke, who was great through 5, pulled him after he threw about 86 or so pitches. I guess he's still working on his endurance. But they bring in Josh James, who gets an out, and the second hitter takes him deep, and it's tied 1-1. Stays that way for a very long time, in fact. Some major credit I'll give to some relievers who actually came in and did a very good job. If I can pull up this box score. Enoli Paredes is going to be one of these guys who got through 2 scoreless innings in the extra innings with your sort of runner starting on second and no outs. He got through both those innings scoreless, obviously, extending the game. But, so like I said, Greinke actually goes 6. 5 hits, no runs, struck out 5, walked a hitter. Josh James blows the game, ties it at 1. Andre Scrub, another scoreless inning. Ryan Presley came in to get work, and he actually was good this time. He got 1 inning, no hits, no runs. He struck out a batter. But Paredes was sort of the big, got through 2 extra inning, not allowing a run, walking 1, striking out 5, so he looked good. And then a guy they just brought up, Humberto Castellanos, who was pitching, I believe, in his second big league game. His first game was, I believe, on Tuesday, in a game the Astros won. He goes an inning and gets through it. So, I mean, the Astros finally score in the top half of the 13th to take a 2-1 lead. And then Cy Snead comes in and blows the game. And, yeah, he's just been terrible. Cy Snead, can't rely on him right now. He should not see any more high leverage, tight setup sort of situations until he proves otherwise. But, yeah, he blew it, not only giving up the lead, but giving up the game. And we lose that 3-2. So heartbreaking game. They've had a few of those because they lost that one in Arizona where they were leading going into the 9th, and Ryan Presley blew that, and Cy Snead blew this. So it's tough going in where you need 3 outs to get the win, and you can't do it. And they did that twice in 3 games there. Saturday was even worse. Offense just didn't even show up against Frankie Montas. They lose that 3-1. Never really had a chance. Marcus Semien. Valdez pitched this game. He was actually good. I mean, you give up 3. I think give 2 runs here. If I pull up the box score, it's loading, of course. But gave up a solo home run to Marcus Semien in the first inning. But he went 7 innings, 2 runs, only one of those earned, which was that home run. Walked 1 hitter, struck out 9. ERA at 2.04. So Valdez, major props, dude. Major props. Nivaldo Rodriguez, not very good. Came in the 8th inning, gave up a run. ERA at 7.71. So he's just a guy. But yeah, they really never even could get anything going. Like the entire game, they just could never seem to get a guy or get any sort of rally started or any. It just wasn't even like, it was 1-2-3 inning. 1-2-3 inning, it seemed like again and again and again in that game. And then yesterday they lost from the start basically. Once again, offense didn't show up, but they gave up 7 runs, so you're probably not going to win a lot of those games anyway, giving up 7 runs, but that's what they did. So, and then I'll talk about the sort of I don't know what you want to call it, skirmish or whatever happened here in a few minutes, but Javier sort of came back to earth, didn't pitch so great. 3 innings only, 5 runs, all of them earned. Struck out 5, walked 2, gave up 3 home runs. Those home runs were to, let's see here. God, this phone just is completely terrible. It is completely a terrible phone. Robbie Grossman touched him up. Matt Olson and Matt Chapman all had home runs off Javier and just 3 innings of work, and then he got pulled. We were down 5-0 at that point, so really didn't have a chance. I know Gurriel had a 2-run home run to make it 5-2, but Oakland added on late, and yeah, the Astros are just flat, lifeless, don't look interested. I'm not going to be sort of into the world. The season's over, but they're now 6-9. They're 5.5 games out of first place. Oakland's won 7 in a row. I think the Rangers have a half a game lead on them as well. So right now, if the playoffs started today, the Astros would not be one of those 16 teams to actually make the playoffs. But yeah. So, but the sort of falling out that happened in this game, Laureano here. I'll sort of give you my breakdown. I'll put down the phone for this. But Ramon Laureano, used to actually be in the Astros farm system. I mean, he's a so-so hitter, I guess, known for a good throwing arm in the outfield. Not necessarily a great fielding outfielder, but his throwing arm's really good. I mean, I don't know a ton about him. I don't watch Oakland A's baseball, so they could give you a better understanding of who he actually is. But he actually got hit early in the series. I don't know who hit him, but he got hit. He also got hit again early in Sunday's game, and I could tell just by he wasn't happy about it. Obviously, I don't think any batter's happy when they get hit, but he was not happy about it. But it happened a third time for the second at bat in a row. And this time he actually was going to do something about it, or at least let the pitcher know he was very displeased. And this pitcher was Humberto Castellanos. In only his third Major League Baseball game, threw a slider that just sort of, I don't know. It was a backup slider. He couldn't, I don't know. It hit him in the back. Basically letter number high. He wasn't intentional. 3-2 count. So I mean, but Laureano, who, I don't think he thought that Castellanos was trying to throw at him. He'd be a complete idiot if he actually thought that. But as he was walking to first base, he was sort of pointing and sort of gesturing he was sort of giving Castellanos a pitching tutorial on how to throw a slider, and sort of like showing him how to grip a baseball, and was pointing and was very upset. And Maldonado's out there trying to sort of calm him down and sort of escorting him down to first base. And then the Astros from the dugout, Alex Cintron mostly, starts chirping, says something. We do not know what, but Cintron's yelling at him and actually challenging him to, let's go, come on. You want a piece of me? So Laureano, after he gets to first, hears Cintron, looks at him, and just takes off, sprints towards the Astros dugout. And Dustin Garneau's the first one out there to greet him, and Garneau tackles him to the ground. And then everybody gets together, and there's some pushing and there's some shoving, and it's a terrible job of social distancing. And obviously Rob Manfred's not going to stand for this. He's already talked about how we can't let things get out of hand. We have to social distance. You got people wearing masks here and there, and you just can't. You can't have the benches empty the way it did and everybody just right in each other's face. And that's what it turned into. Laureano got ejected. Austin Allen, another player for the A's, got ejected. Castellanos stayed in the game, along with all the other Astros, I believe. But fine suspensions will be handed down. That was the most exciting thing the entire weekend, was sort of Cintron challenging Ramon Laureano. And then sort of the ensuing sort of meltdown that sort of occurred. I know Maldonado was right in the middle of it as well, but he was sort of trying to play peacemaker. Garneau tackles him just to sort of prevent him from actually entering the Astros dugout, which is, he took off in a full sprint after Alex Cintron. So we'll wait and see. I haven't heard any news on suspensions, fines, things like that, but Laureano will get probably at least 10 games. Cintron might get even more than that. And then we'll see sort of some fines, and punishments are going to be more severe this year because they're trying with the coronavirus to be social. They're trying to social distance. They're trying to make sure none of this happens. Although, when you got a guy charging your dugout, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to run into the clubhouse and slam the door? What do you expect the Astros to do? Now, Alex Cintron instigated this entire thing. I think. I don't think. I know he did. Laureano doesn't go charging after him if he just keeps his mouth shut. And Cintron's been known in the past to be one of those guys that actually likes to chirp quite often. And with no fans and all this, obviously everything's heard. So, but yeah, that was sort of interesting. So, finally, we get back to baseball, and the game was basically over at that point anyway. But like I said, that was the most exciting. The most excitement the Astros had all weekend was sort of that. Yeah. But we'll see. I haven't heard any news on the suspensions and what will happen. But I haven't kept up with a lot of other teams this year. With basketball going on right now, I've been sort of watching both, but haven't heard of any other teams sort of getting into anything. The Astros have had two sort of skirmishes of course, with the Dodgers and Joe Kelly and now this one. So, but we'll wait and see. And the Astros now will take on the Giants for 3 games back at home here. So this is a series where they should at least take 2 or 3, I feel like. Hopefully the bats can get back to hitting and our pitchers can do enough. And then we'll stay at home to take on the Mariners once again. So this is sort of get right week. You play 6 games. I'll say it again, 4-2 would sort of be my suggestion, my hope. I mean, if they can't go 4-2 this week, they don't even deserve to really be in the playoffs. I mean, they're 6-9. They got some work to do. Obviously, the playoffs aren't going to be as challenging to get into as past years. So, if they finish second or even third, they can still make it. But their record has to be better, obviously, than what it is. But a few notes just on players. So I talked, about Valdez being pretty good. We'll see what Bielak can give us as a starter. McCullers has a chance to sort of get back on track tonight. Javier really fell back down to earth yesterday. We'll see how he does after his first bad start. Zach Greinke's looked good. He pitched another good game on Saturday and a good game the week before against the Angels. So Zach Greinke's looked good his last 2 outings, and hopefully he's still working himself into a full workload. He's going to make his 4th start this week, so he should be basically as healthy and as up to speed as you can get him. Josh James is in the bullpen, been the first starter to sort of go. And, as far as the bullpen's concerned, you still got Blake Taylor, who's been good. We'll still roll with Presley. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. I mean, you really have nowhere else to go. But Andre Scrubb's the other guy who's actually been impressive. So you do have a few guys in that bullpen that you sort of have faith in. Cy Snead, lost all confidence and faith in that guy. And then, you got some people like, we'll see what Castellanos turns into. Paredes looked good in his last outing, so he might be a guy they turn to. But I can't even think of all these pitchers just off the top of my head. It's just too hard right now. So as far as the hitting's concerned, Miles Straw, who's actually got some decent playing time, he's been terrible at the plate. Josh Reddick is just a waste of time, basically. Altuve needs to get going. Springer needs to get back healthy. Correa, who was sort of playing well, sort of cooled off a little bit. Gurriel's been okay. Bregman is okay, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you just look up and down the lineup. It was pretty pitiful in Oakland at the Coliseum over the weekend. So we'll see sort of what ends up happening over this week. I mean, like I said, if they don't go 4-2, when you get the Giants and the Mariners, those are 2 pretty easy teams that really shouldn't give you trouble, especially at home. They should really do some damage this week. In fact, 4-2 is sort of on the light side. But I don't want to get too greedy here. So 4-2, if you win both series, I'll take it. And trying to get ourselves back to sort of 500 at some point. I mean, you don't have months to get this right. So you got about a few weeks, and then, I mean, the A's are the class of the division. I mean, they have a solid 5-game lead in the division right now. Like, they've won 7 straight. They're 12-5 or something like that, 12-4. So they look definitely like they're going to win this division. 12-4. Rangers 6-8, 5 back. Astros 6-9, 5.5. And then Seattle and LA round out the division. And just a quick look at the Giants. They're 7-10, second to last place in their division. So we'll see. Hitting needs to get going. Pitching needs to do enough. That would be sort of my breakdown. But Maldonado, who got off to a good start, is also starting to strike out a ton. Kyle Tucker, other guy I wanted to bring up. Sort of know what I'm going to get with Kyle Tucker, or what I think I'm going to get with Kyle Tucker. He's going to be a guy that strikes out a ton, because his swing has some major work. There needs to be some major work done in his swing, or he's going to be a guy who will hit a home run every once in a while, will make some contact, maybe drive in some runs, but he is going to strike out 1,000,000,000 times if he doesn't fix his swing, which has a huge loop and is the longest swing, biggest uppercut you'll ever see with Kyle Tucker. So, not good. I can't say a whole lot good about Tucker. I haven't been very happy with him. And he's sort of getting our DH role with Alvarez trying to get back here. I'm trying to think who else. I talked about Stubbs struggling. Josh Reddick is just the same. Waste of time. Throw a temper tantrum every time you get out. So expect about 3 to 4 of those a game. Yuli's been okay. Altuve needs to get going. This is a guy that when usually most of the team can't hit, he's usually the one guy that can. And he's actually not done very well. Needs to start working on, I would expect him to crawl out or, sort of get out of the slump, break out somehow, some way. Hopefully it starts tonight, this week, and we start putting up some runs and start to win some games here. But the Astros really haven't experienced a whole lot of this since back in 2016. The last 3 years, they've got out to hot starts, and they just sort of ride the wave all the way, and there's usually nothing to worry about. This season's a little different, and a lot of that has to do with the injuries. I'm not a guy that likes to point to injuries and say this is why we can't do this, but it is quite a bit when you think about, Alvarez and Urquidy, who we still, the verdict is still out on him, but Peacock would be nice pitcher to have in the bullpen, and then, Verlander's out, of course, Osuna. So, you're dealing with some people, obviously, and all these rookies in the bullpen, so. But anyway, I'll sort of leave things there. We'll see with suspensions and fines that should be handed down here. I would expect before the game. Game starts in about 2.5 hours, so we'll see. But, yeah, coming up here, over 30 minutes. But, so the Astros are 6-9. Obviously not good news. But we'll try to work our way back to 500. They're at home. They got some easy teams, so it's time to put some wins together and sort of get back at least in the second place and see where we can go from there. So, but I'll wrap things up there, and I'll talk to you either next Sunday. I was going to talk to you actually last night. Wasn't able to get to it in time. So Monday, if they have an off day, I'll usually reserve that Monday to actually talk. And let's see if I can pull up the schedule here. But Astros playing a lot of 8 o'clock games, whether they're at home or on the road, so they got some extra time. But they play the next 2 Mondays, both at 8 o'clock, so I might be talking to you at some point during the day there or Sunday night. But whenever next time is, hopefully the Astros will be playing better. They pick the offense back up, and like I said, the pitching's doing enough. But we'll stop things there, and we'll talk to you next time.